Voluntary euthanasia or doctor-assisted suicide is legal in some countries, but in Australia it's still a very controversial topic. A conference in Melbourne this week has brought together international experts in the legal and medical aspects of euthanasia to discuss international laws and how Australia could use them. Australian supporters say euthanasia already happens here, but it's illegal, and bringing it out into the open will actually ease the suffering of many. Hamish Fitzsimmons reports.
According to euthanasia supporters in Australia, the practice is already entrenched in the form of mercy killings by doctors or the terminally ill committing suicide. This conference in Melbourne has brought together some of the world's most prominent supporters of euthanasia, who say the laws in other countries make things easier for people who want to die.
If you bring the thing out into the open, you have better practice, you have open practice, you allow doctors and patients to communicate. They can now ask the doctor for assistance, so they will get the assistance that they want.
Belgium and the Netherlands have had euthanasia laws since 2002, with strict criteria. For instance, to use them, people must be medically assessed as being terminally ill with unbearable suffering. The European laws were introduced after international studies, which included Australia, found that up to 4% of all deaths were attributed to lethal intervention by doctors without the patient's consent.
I would presume the situation has not changed in a major way in Australia. However, in Belgium it has changed dramatically towards a rather similar incidence, not increased, but a rather similar incidence of physician-assisted dying. However, now, in the majority of cases, upon request.
One of the most controversial facets of the current debate is the so-called tired of life issue, where someone who is not terminally ill can still decide to end their life under euthanasia laws, and euthanasia supporter Michael Irwin has some reservations about it.
I think it's a terrible expression, tired of life. I mean, I'm willing to help people who are, let's say, 80 plus, who have medical problems, may not be terminal, but they have various problems that they suffer from. But just to be, say, tired of life and give them the right to change the law, that is absolute stupidity.
There was debate about the issue in the Netherlands this year, but no country has legislated yet for people who may not be terminally ill, but feel they cannot go on.
People who are just simply old and frail don't qualify. They've got a lot of things wrong with them. They've often got arthritis and incontinence and some cognitive impairment and a whole lot of things which are making their life miserable. They may well be totally dependent in a nursing home.
Dr. Michael Irwin is a former medical director of the United Nations and a long and sometimes controversial campaigner for voluntary euthanasia, but he supports it only under strict guidelines.
I think it's very, very important to insist that a doctor is involved in evaluating a person and also in bringing about that person's suicide. For example, I may be on dangerous ground when I say this, but I'm totally opposed to what Philip Nitschke does in this country and in various other parts of the world, where there's no control about someone being properly evaluated and also bringing about the end of their life.
Australian opponents of euthanasia say conferences like this one are dangerous for people who may be facing serious or debilitating illnesses.
Very one-sided, terribly one-sided, and I think a conference really that doesn't represent mainstream thinking at all, certainly not within the medical profession. Really, the killing of patients, if it becomes legalised, will corrupt the practice of good medicine.
And Dr. James's concerns extend to other areas.
At the heart of this debate really is the proposition that people ought to be able to have doctors kill them for any reason or no reason at all.
Hamish Fitzsimmons, Lateline.